Alright, so this is a suggestion via Patreon. The name of the video is Earth Will Be Destroyed by an Asteroid. Apparently this is going to be a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Respect. Let's check it out. Alright, guys.
And your next question was, oh, the asteroid. Oh, you're worried about the asteroid.
Which one are we talking about?
Wimp.
We could either be referring to Bennu or Apophis. Most likely.
Well, there is an asteroid headed our way. By the way, I'm on YouTube describing this. And who here has not seen that YouTube video? Really?
Yeah, I see it, bro.
So I'll give you a version. This will be a live YouTube version of it, okay? Okay. So, December 2004.
Okay.
In fact,
Apophis.
I may have to end on this question because I'm going to flesh it out in ways that there's no way another question can follow it.
Because Bennu was found in 99.
So, December 2004. Again, it's my community. I'm not out there. I'm occasionally out there, but most of the time when I say we, it's not me. It's just we, the astrophysicists.
Right.
December 2004. We discover an asteroid. We have a couple of data points on its position in the sky. You look at its speed, you get a Doppler shift on it. You get its direction, you plug it into the computer. There was some 20% chance it was going to hit Earth on April 13th, 2036. Did you hear about this asteroid when it was discovered? No, because that same week was the Indonesian tsunami.
Right.
That same week.
It overshadowed it.
And so rightly so, it did not lead the headlines the way the tsunami did.
Right.
However, if you did the calculation, you would show that if it hit Earth in the center of the uncertainty range, it would hit the Pacific Ocean 500 kilometers west of Santa Monica. It would plunge into the ocean to a depth of 3 miles. It would explode at that depth, cavitating the ocean in a hole 3 miles wide.
Oh my.
Now you have a wall of water 3 miles high. What happens to that wall of water?
It goes back in the hole.
It just spills back into the hole that was just made, splashes into itself, and rises high again.
Hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and make this just a little bit bigger. Like that.
That first impact creates a tsunami that's 5 stories tall. By the way, this asteroid is the size of the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it's about 1,100 miles across.
In other words, it would fit neatly in the Rose Bowl the way an egg...
No, I'm sorry, 1,100 feet. Oh my God, miles. It's 1,100 feet across.
egg does in an egg cup. So, here... What? So, here's the first wave. The first wave is just from that first impact. You cavitate the ocean, it fills up again, rises high into the stratosphere, falls back, cavitates the ocean again. Now it's water cavitating the ocean, not the asteroid. That sends another wave, and this repeats. Calculations show this will repeat about 40 times.
Oh.
40 times.
Didn't hear that.
40 tsunamis, one right
back
after another.
Right.
What's interesting to
California
me is that tsunami would take out the entire west coast of the United States, do $10 trillion in damage. It would make the Indonesian tsunami look like a slightly overflooding puddle. So it was a lost opportunity to compare and contrast magnitudes of disaster.
Right.
It would later make the news when better data became available. But let me explain this tsunami to you. So it's a wall of water 5 stories tall. The next tsunami, 40 seconds later, because it would be pulsed every 40 to 50 seconds, the next tsunami needs that water. There's not an unlimited supply of water. The first wave has got some of the water that the second tsunami wants to use.
Right, just
so what
wait
happens?
for it. It's
the
coming.
first tsunami goes in only as far. It goes 40 seconds into land.
Okay.
Then it's pulled, 20 seconds into land, 20 seconds back for the next tsunami. So in fact, if you do the calculation, you can show the tsunami would not go past about a quarter mile inland. You could set up a rope, like one of those club ropes.
Okay.
And just sit there and just watch the whole thing.
Guys, all of like these super rich people live basically right at the water. Guys, so what you're saying is the entire wealth of California is just going to get wiped away in basically one day in the year 2029.
Thing happened.
Or 7 years after that, depending on if it actually enters into that small window.
The waves come in. They pass through the multi-million dollar Malibu home.
Right. Okay, good.
The wave comes out, brings the home with it. Next wave comes, takes the home back in a slightly different shape than it was before.
Right.
This process basically ablates the entire west coast of the United States. We would know this in advance, thanks to Isaac Newton and his two equations he developed as a 26-year-old virgin. And so,
the laws of motion? Those are three, though. Right? I don't know. Let's get it.
Actually, nobody has to die. It'll still do the $10 trillion in damage, but nobody, we know this in advance. But I thought about it. There are two people who will die.
Apologies,
two people.
Guys.
And you know who they are. Okay? There's the idiot surfer who wants to get that last wave. You know, rad, man. I'm going to, the idiot surfer. We got one dead surfer and one dead weatherman.
Oh,
you know the weatherman.
He's
trying
right.
to get the camera
He's right.
closer to the...
Because the only ones that would even be interested in getting close to this water would be the people that are trying to film it and the ones who are just trying to enjoy it. But bro, listen, let's not even attempt to surf in a tsunami.
Hurricane? Come, you look at the waves crashing on the shore, and the cameraman keeps backing up and he pulls him in. One dead weatherman. Two dead people, right? That's what you get. So, a little later we would get better data. Once you discover an asteroid and you know its trajectory, you could look in historical photos for where it would have been in the past if you got your trajectory right. Then that becomes useful data to you. It's called a pre-discovery photo. It's common in my field. Once you have a general direction that something's going in, you just turn the clock back. Once we dug up pre-discovery photos and got some better data later, we were able to tune what was going to happen. So here's what will happen.
Go ahead.
On April 13th, in the year 2029, that's one orbit away from the 2036 date. It has a 7-year intersection orbit with Earth. On that date, April 13th, which, by the way, is a Friday.
Is it really?
April 13th, 2029, this asteroid named Apophis, named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness.
Right. Also the main character of Stargate SG-1.
Named, of course, only after we calculated
for the first couple
its
of
trajectory
seasons.
to intersect Earth. If it were not going to hit Earth, we could have named it like Bambi or Tiffany,
right.
something non-threatening, right?
Or just a random sequence of numbers.
Freddy, something that it's not hurting anybody. Name that one Apophis. So we know for certain that Apophis on Friday the 13th, April 2029, it's the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll get close enough to Earth that it will dip below Earth's communication satellites. It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come near Earth.
Right.
Communication satellites are a geosynchronous orbit. It's about 23,000 miles up. This will come in at 18,000 miles. It'll be visible from northern Europe. The Geek Set has already rented the hotel rooms there, so you're out of luck, because they did the math and they knew when and where it was going to happen. It'll look like just a fast-moving bright object across the night sky, moving at about
like Halley's, but just larger.
What speed do I give it? Probably around 10 miles per second. That's hauling.
10 miles per second.
Fast. So here's the catch. Its orbit remains sufficiently uncertain. Let me back up. In the possible range of orbits it could have on that fateful day, there is an interval range where if it threads that keyhole, we call it a keyhole. It's a 600.
I call it a window.
700 mile range. If its orbit goes through that range, Earth's gravity will be just right.
Right. to push it off for the moment.
Or rather, just wrong.
Right.
So
right.
that
Depends how
it
you
will
think about
alter its orbit so that it will hit us 7 years later.
Right.
So the test is it going to go through the keyhole? The latest estimates are that the likelihood, with updated data, is that the likelihood that it'll go through the keyhole is several in a million. Much better for us than the 30% first estimate or the 1 in 42,000 estimate that had been around for a couple of years. So you say, oh, not a problem. There are people who bet on the lottery with worse odds than that, expecting that they're going to win. Would you put $10 trillion in harm's way? Actually, if any insurance people here, I know there's got to be.
Okay, really quickly, let me interject here. I think the smartest thing to do is to obviously put some type of insurance claim, mainly for the pieces of property that are almost 100% going to get lost. I think the lion's share of said money should be coming from that very specific area. I understand it's a lot of money. I get it. But I do think that if nothing happens, I think the people that had put into that should be able to get some of that, all of that money back. This should be like a pot, not like a common typical insurance company for profit type thing, right? If we know that this is going to happen, we know where it's going to happen, we know kind of how it's going to happen, and we have, 6 years to kind of crowdfund for it, I do think that we do have the capability to put that money aside to kind of, rebuild, or the government can do like what they did in Centralia in Pennsylvania, where underneath the ground, it is absolutely on fire because of a coal mine that's on fire, and it will continue to be on fire for many, many, many years, right? I do think that the smartest thing to do is to either forfeit that area or get ready to spend $10 trillion. And I do not think the rest of America should bother with whatever is happening in California. I'm not saying that the people in California that are going to be in harm's way should leave California. I definitely think they should stay in California, right? But just go somewhere else in California so they can keep their politics there and all other nonsense that they do out there. Basically. Just stay right there, but just move a little bit so you can kind of save your life. Like specifically, if we know exactly how far the water is going to come in based off of the tsunami, and we know that it's going to come in 40 plus times at intervals of, let's say, 40 to 50 seconds, we know what's going to happen. All of your property is going to be obliterated. Don't be surprised if it just basically washes out into the ocean. We have a whole brand new beach, basically. I definitely think that you should probably move somewhere further inland because you're going to have new coastline. And I do think the government should probably step in, the California government mainly, so our taxes don't go up in America. Just, work on that. I do think that that's probably going to be the smartest way to actually do it. If you want to do it through insurance, okay, but just don't leave California, guys. Stay there. It's fine.
You just do the math, right? $10 trillion divided by the probability of it hitting, spread that among the total population of the West Coast, and you have an insurance policy.
Right, okay.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you calculate insurance policies. Oh, by the way, I think I saw Steve Soda here, my colleague. Steve Soda, we've collaborated on all the exhibits here in the Rose Center 10 years ago on our anniversary. Steve, could you remind me who of the famous astronomers of the past actually invented actuarial tables?
Sir Edmund Halley, the guy from the Halley's Comet, the comet that appears in the night sky every 75 years. It also has Halley is also the guy who was named after not named after. They named the Halley's Scientific Research Center in Antarctica after him. He was a mathematician, astronomer. He was the second royal astronomer of Britain for a while. Halley is absolutely named. I keep saying he's named. People have named a lot of things after him: schools, academies, streets, everything. Sir Edmund Halley.
Sir Edmund Halley invented the notion that you can calculate a risk using actuarial tables.
Like a risk of like mortality. He created the equation that basically can tell you if you're going to live or not live, basically. A risk assessment for the most part. A lot of insurance people utilize that work.
Astronomer did this. Okay? So it's good to have people who think about the universe. Who here only wants to look at Earth? Where did she go? Where's my Earth woman? Did she leave? Yeah. Oh, she's still here? Oh, yeah, you're sneaking out over here on me. You're the one that only wanted to look at Earth. People who look up, like, also invent stuff. Just want you to know.
Right, right.
So, the problem is so we don't know the orbit well enough to say whether or not it's going to go through the keyhole. We need better data on its location in space. So what we really want to do, and in fact, one of the plans of NASA's next voyages is to visit an asteroid. Why not visit the asteroid that has our name on it? The one that's headed this way. Just call Bruce Willis. You know, that's all you got. That's all you got to do. Put him on your speed dial. Say, Bruce. No, we need Bruce Willis for the oil leak in the bottom of the thing right now. Then we'd send him into space. He was an oil rig driller, if you remember from
Right, the movie
Armageddon. That movie was made with a whole other universe of laws of physics, just so you know.
Absolutely. Bro, do you remember when they landed on the asteroid and there was a fire? And I was very confused how there was a fire in a vacuum. But you know what? Listen, let's not get into that because he's right here. That whatever universe that was in was not ours. It was weird. All right? But either way, guys, hail Sagan. But all right, let's get it.
Not from this universe. That's why I know Aliens made that movie. So where was I before I distracted myself? Visit. Yeah. So here's what you do. You go to the asteroid, and then you stick LoJack on it, okay? Something where it's telling us where it is to...
Hey, Neil, I'm not sure LoJack even exists anymore. But either way, respect.
Like 1 centimeter per second accuracy, okay? And its velocity and its location with that accuracy. Then you put it back into the equations, you sharpen the orbit, you reduce the uncertainty,
Right.
and you'll know whether it'll go through the keyhole or not.
Yeah,
You
can't do that
If it's
now.
targeted to go through the
You
keyhole,
cannot.
all you have to do, well, if you're like military generals who know you got like nukes in the silo, you blow the sucker out of the sky. You know, we got those folks. We know who they are.
Right.
The people want to blow stuff up. Problem here in America is that we're really good at blowing stuff up and less good at knowing where the pieces go afterwards. We're just less good at that, all right?
I'm going to let you guys know right now, I didn't think of that. Right. And, you know, listen, I thought for my hand, I was just like, okay, yeah, listen, if we do, you know, explode it, let's say, what will happen? Yeah, it will be vaporized. Not actually. Now we're creating micro asteroids that are still coming towards us. And now we're actually going to get hit with, I don't know, 1,000 pieces of them instead of one large one where we know exactly where it's going. Yeah, bro, that's terrible. You're right. Let's not do that.
Right? So I don't want to blow up Apophis. Then we have 2 pieces, one headed for New York, one headed for LA. I don't want 2 pieces because we don't know what'll happen when you blow it up. So
Right.
the kindler, gentler solution would be to nudge it
out of the way.
harm's way.
Right, right.
And all you have to do is nudge it so that it misses the keyhole. And that's only a 300-mile nudge, one way or another. And if you get it early enough, you give it a sideways motion. I'm headed towards you. Give me a sideways motion, a few centimeters per second.
Yeah, guys, this definitely can't be like a manned mission, though. This has to be some type of robot that we create that can put some type of like jet boosters or something on the side of this this asteroid and move it specifically out of the way a large enough distance that it doesn't that it can actually miss the window. Right. But other than that, I have no idea how we have the capability to do that right now. We don't. I mean, unless, again, a robot does it.
Accumulates so that after enough time, and I miss you completely. And in this case, you just have to miss the keyhole. 2029, that's the right amount of time in the future. Most of us will still be alive, we hope. And we can adjust budgets to make this happen. So all we have to do is engage international space agencies to do this. There are none. There is no organization to do this. And who's going to pay for it? We would surely pay for that, but suppose it was headed for the Indian Ocean.
Right, we're not paying
America.
for that. Right.
It would affect us. So what kind of Earth insurance policy does the world take out? How do you work that?
Right.
And we have an
Who
Apollo
houses
9
it?
astronaut, Rusty Schweiker, with a webpage called B612, dedicated to studying
B612 is a foundation.
not only the physics of asteroid collisions, but the politics of how to alleviate them.
Right.
B612,
The foundation,
where
though.
have I seen that before? B612. That is the name of the asteroid that the Little Prince landed on. Oh, isn't that the cutest thing you ever
Bro, what are you
heard?
talking? What is it? What is a Little Prince?
So that's B612. So people are thinking about it, and even some influential people. So if we don't mobilize in time, because we have too many lawyers among us and not engineers, like we can always get on the case of lawyers, right? Because I'm not alone. How many lawyers are here? Raise your hand. Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. Okay. But everybody makes fun of lawyers, right?
Generally.
In fact, my favorite lawyer joke was told to me by a lawyer.
Go ahead.
Can I tell
I've
you
heard a
what that
couple.
was?
Go.
He said, it's the 98% of all lawyers that give the other 2% a bad
2%?
name.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty funny. Lawyer told me that joke.
Well, that's an old joke. Give me something new and spicy.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good joke. So here's what happens. If we don't mobilize in time, and it does thread the keyhole, we still have another 7 years. The problem is it's headed straight for Earth now.
Right.
Now when you have to deflect it, you've got to deflect it by 4,000 miles by Earth's radius. That's a much harder job than deflecting it 300 miles, half of the keyhole. So I suggest that NASA go ahead and do this just as an exercise. Even though it's only a several in a million chance of it hitting, I want to know that we have the power to deflect asteroids so that we do not suffer the same fate as our reptilian ancestors 65 million years ago, who did not have engineers among them, so that as they're standing there dining on our mammal ancestors as hors d'oeuvres, I'm reminded of the Gary Larson comic. A T-Rex is talking to some other T-Rex, and they're just sitting there, just chilling, and one says, "Now is the time to build an asteroid defense system." Because I don't want to be the laughing stock of the galaxy.
Too late.
Where others know that we were smart enough to have a space program, but too dumb to put it into effect and to save us from our own extinction. And your next
that's
question
us.
was?
That's us, though. That's exactly who we are. I mean, guys, we're meant for that. Guys, we absolutely are smart enough to have somewhat of a space program. I mean, generally just for spying on our neighbors, basically. That's all we really utilize it for. I mean, because think about it, guys. The reason why the space programs really are not being funded is because we really can't do anything with them. Right? I mean, there are so many complications with human beings being in space for any long period of time that it's not even viable to send a human being in space for any long period of time. Right? I mean, we can't really go physically to another planet. How are we going to get there? Like, I mean, I'm fully aware, listen, do we have the technology to get a spacecraft there? Absolutely. Can we go? That's more tricky, guys. All right, that's more tricky. And once we can kind of figure that out, I think that it'll be probably, something that we can actually sit down and have a conversation with and kind of like, involve ourselves in. But other than that, it's a waste of time, guys. I think so far, for now. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.